Welcome back, and I thought we'd try something slightly different this time. So instead of doing certain questions or the 5-a-day questions, which as ever I think are fantastic, we're just going to try doing a paper. Now what I've done is I've gone on the Edexcel website and I've picked the most recently freely available paper. So as a teacher I can see some papers that most of you can't see, but I thought it'd be good to do a sort of full walkthrough of a paper. Again, sort of pause it, have a go at the questions as well before I do. I'm choosing a non-calculator, because I think non-calculator really shows the understanding and checks you get the basics of each type of question. It's an hour and a half. I will say I haven't seen this paper before. I haven't looked at it. I've just loaded it. This could get quite embarrassing, but we'll give it a go anyway. Where's the downside? I will then do a second video where I go through and mark it. So I'm pretty sure most of it's correct, but we'll find out when we go through and check it. It's an hour and 30. I don't expect it to take that long, but we'll see how it goes. As ever, like I say, try the questions first, keep up, let's see how we go. Actually, one more thing before I start. I teach international GCSE normally. I don't teach non-calculator, so could get even more interesting. Anyway, let's go. First question. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what it's saying. So first question. Again, all this is non-calculator, so it wants me to work out this divided by this. Now, what I'm going to notice is clearly there's going to be some simplifying going on down here. So I've multiplied top and bottom by 10. Divide by, I'm going to do it carefully. I don't want to drop silly marks. I'm going to divide by 2 first. So 4/18 divided by 2 is 9. 2 over 6. Let's divide by 2 again, which is going to give me 24/6. Divide by 3, and let's divide by 3. So let's do this carefully. So that's going to give me 18 is 6, carry the 2 is 8, and 2 at the end, 682. First answer is 682. Pretty happy with that one. Nice start, sort of get you warmed up. It'd be unfair if they gave you a really hard question to start with. They want everyone to relax slightly, so that feels like a reasonable sort of starting question. All right, next one. Table shows probabilities of a biased die will land on 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, as we know, all probabilities sum to 1. It's going to tell me somewhere a link between 1 and 2. There we go. So it assumes the probabilities that the dice will land on 1 and 2 are the same. So I can assume if that's x, that's going to be x as well. And then it wants me to use an estimated probability to work out the number of expected 2s. Okay, so let's work out what I've got so far. So I've got 0.1 plus 0.3, which is 0.4, 0.45, and 0.56, 0.7. So therefore, that means that my x plus x is going to be equal to 0.3. So let's just be clear what I've done there. So I know that's 0.7, which I know this here must be 0.3, which means that 1 and 2 both have the same probability, which is 0.15, or of course 15%, or any equivalent you want to write. Then it says, Karim rolls a dice 500 times, so the estimated outcome is going to be 500 times 0.15. Now, the way I'm going to do that on a non-calculator is I'm going to do 5 times 0.15, which is 0.75, and then I'm going to turn it to 100 times 0.75, because that's nice and easy, because that just gives me 75 times, or 75 twos. That's right. What is correct? So 75 twos. Okay, that feels right. Further bit. Karim is wrong. The probability of the dice will land on 2 is greater than the probability that the dice will land on 1. How does this information affect your answer? Okay, typically, this is where people lose marks. They're not good at this bit. They're not good at explaining. So you've got to try and work out what it is mathematically they're trying to get you to understand. So if the probability of the 2 goes up, let's go back up to my calculation. It means that number will be higher, which means I'll get a higher expected value here. What does the question want? So the question says, how does this information affect your answer? And I guess implicitly it wants the y as well, because it's 2 marks. So therefore I would say the number of 2s, answer the question itself. So the number of 2s will be higher. So that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to give a quick reason, as the probability is greater than Karim's estimate. Actually, I'm going to write calculation instead. Greater than Karim's calculation. Again, loads of marks are lost on this all the time. Try and think mathematically about what it is they're trying to get you to think about. Just be very careful of just writing stuff. They often have a very specific thing in mind. Anyway, that's question done. Next question. Work out. Now, let's just scroll down there. There we go. What to note here, this one says work out, and this one says show that. Now, for Edexcel, if you get the right answer, you get 4 marks. So actually, I could just write down the answer. If I could do it in my head, I should get 4 marks. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show the working. But it should be a correct answer, 4 marks. For a show that question, there must be working, otherwise you won't get the appropriate mark. So here, well, I'm going to do it properly anyway. So I'm going to turn them into improper fractions first. So 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1. So it's 7 over 2 minus 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 minus 7 over 6. Can't do any fractions unless the common denominator is the same. So I'm going to multiply the first one by 3, which is going to give me 21 over 6 minus 7 over 6, the same denominator. So I've just put it over the same 6, which is going to be 14 over 6, which I could simplify down to 7 over 3. Then go back, always read the question at the end. Don't lose that extra mark. So give your answer as a mixed number. So there are 2 3s in 7 with a remainder of 1. So therefore it's going to be 2 1/3. Not terrible. Okay, show that. It's going to want to see at least 3 or 4 good steps of working where you go from here to this number over here. So let's show that carefully. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show that as an improper fraction, I understand that this is the same as 21 over 4. And as an improper fraction, I understand that this one here is the same as, well, it's the same again as last time, so 7 over 3. And then I'm dividing these things out. That is the same as keep, change, flip, even from primary school, still works. Now, at this stage, I can see that I can cancel the 7s here. So I'm going to make a very clear show of what I'm doing here, which means at the top I've got 3 times 3, which is 9. At the bottom I've got 4. I need that to be 2 1/4. Now, I have seen, it was a long time ago, whereby it sort of wants an explanation of how you're doing this step here. So even though it seems a bit ridiculous, I'm going to do 9 divided by 4 is 2 remainder 1. And that just means that I understand that that's where the 2 1/4 comes from. I've shown how to get from here to here. I've answered the question. Next question. Okay, this is why we read it all carefully. A, B, C, D is a parallelogram, which means that's parallel to that, that's parallel to that, and this is parallel to this. All angles are measured in degrees. Find an expression in terms of E for the size of angle CAD. Give a reason for each stage. Now, the way that I like to think about this is try and get the answer first and then write it out with the reasons. So if I think about what's going on here, I know because it's co-interior, I know this angle here is 180 minus 3E because it's co-interior. I know this angle is E, which means I know this angle here is 180 minus 3E minus another E. That's going to be 180 minus 4E. So that's what I think I'm doing. So let's write this down. So I'm going to say, first of all, that angle D, let's get this right. So angle DAB is equal to 180 minus 3E, co-interior angles add to 180. Now, the way the mark scheme will work is the mark scheme will look for certain words. So it will look for the words co-interior add to 180. So you don't have to write exactly that, but it needs synonyms or equivalent words to that. Then I'm going to note that angle DAB. Now, what does it say? It says give a reason for each stage you're working. Okay, so therefore DAC, so DAC is equal to angle DAB minus CAB, which is equal to 180 minus 3E minus E, which is 180 minus 4E. I don't think there's anything else I can say. There's no more reasons. There's no triangles. I haven't done anything else. So I think that's okay. It feels like, how many marks are there? There's 3. Okay, there's only 3 marks. So 1 for the reason, 1 for the working, 1 for the final answer. That's probably correct. Good. Question done. Next question. A car has travelled 4.96 miles at an average speed. All right, be careful. So the units are the same, which is good. And it wants okay. So the key word here is the word estimate. Non-calculator paper tends to have estimates in rather than actual calculations. So I'm going to say that my distance is equal to 4.96, which is approximately 5 to one significant figure. And my speed is equal to 30.4, which is approximately 30 to one sig fig. And then I know that speed equals distance over time, which means that time is equal to, so the time taken by the car is equal to distance over speed, which is equal to 5 over 30, which is the same as 1 over 6. And then it says, this is why we always go back and read the question, give your answer in minutes. So I'm going to do 1 over 6 times by 60. Well, that's going to be, well, 60 over 6 is going to be 10. So that's going to give me 10 minutes. Not so bad so far. It's going okay. Right, next question. Here we go. Another wordy question. Is your answer to part A an underestimate or an overestimate? Think about what we've done. My distance has gone up and my speed has gone down. So therefore I've taken a bigger number and divided by a smaller number, which means my estimate is therefore going to be an, what have I done? I've rounded up, so therefore I've overestimated. So I've overestimated. And it says, give a reason for your answer. So my reason is going to be as the numerator is larger and denominator smaller in my estimate. Okay, so again, I'm understanding the idea that I've made one of the numbers bigger, one of the numbers smaller, and that's made my overall number bigger than it should be. Great. Next question. Here's a pentagon. ABC. Okay, so this is basically a question about understanding the interior angles of a pentagon, isn't it? Work out the size of angle A, and then it gives me lots of links. Now, interestingly, it tells me that all angles in terms of angle C. So that's the same as C. B is 155. C is C. D is 3 times C. And E is 2 times C. So therefore my total angles are going to be C plus 2C plus 3C, which is 6C. Oh, sorry, plus the C here. So 7C plus 155 is equal to, well, the sum of the interior angles is going to be 5 minus 2 times by 180, which is 540. Which therefore means that these two things must be equal, which in other words, I must be able to say that this is equal to 540, which means that 7C is equal to, now be careful, so take away 100 is 140, 440, take away 40 is 15, and so that's going to be 385, which means that C is equal to 385 divided by 7, so that's going to be 5, carry the 3, 55 degrees. And then I'm just going to make it clear what I'm doing, although it doesn't say give reasons, that A equals C, which equals 55 degrees. Happy with that question. Next question. Okay, the graph shows the volume of water V in litres at time t. So you can see what's happening is volume's going down as time's continuing. What does a gradient represent? So this is basically asking to understand how to put a graph into words. So I would say it represents the rate of change. So gradient is about rate of change of, and then it wants it in context. So the volume in litres with respect to the time in seconds. Or you could just say the number of litres lost per second, I guess, would work as well. But anything that sort of follows the idea that you understand that this is a rate of change sort of question. Next question. How many marks was that? 1 mark. Okay, it's only a mark. Next question. I should always check the marks. That helps me know how much to write. Okay, so the next question is a pressure question. So I know it tells me nicely up here that pressure is force over area. and it wants me to work out, oh, that's clever. Okay, so what's the depth of this shape here? Now, I know that pressure equals force over area, and it tells me the pressure is 80, and that is equal to the force, which is 720, divided by the area, which is 2D. So in other words, this shape here is 2D. Which means I've got an equation with one unknown, so I'll just solve that. So multiply both sides by 2, which is going to give me 160D equals 720. And then say D equals, now I can divide both sides by 0, which is 16. So it's going to be 72 over 16, divided by 8, can't I? So that's going to be 9 over 2, which is the same as 4.5 meters. That's all right, not a terrible question. Next question. Cumulative frequency. Cumulative frequency gives the graph about the marks of 60 students. The important thing about this is how many are there? In this case, it's 60. So therefore, I can think about things like what the median is. The median is the 30th person, etc. What does it want me to do? For these 60 students, the highest mark was 74. The lowest mark was 8. Do a box plot. All right. So box plots require the lowest, the highest, the lowest quartile, the upper quartile, and the median. And I'm going to have to use, the graph in order to get these values. Now it tells me here that the lowest is 8 and the highest is 74. Now, how do I get the lower quartile? Well, if there's 60 people, well, a quarter of those is 15, half of those is 30, and 3/4 of those is 45. So I need those numbers from this graph here. So I'm going to very carefully work out what are the corresponding values for each of those numbers, 15, 30, and 45. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to zoom right in so you can see what I'm doing, is I'm going to be very careful to work out where that point is. So you can see this is is that halfway in between? Delete that, let's have a look. No, I think that's supposed to be on the mark, isn't it? So that's on that one, and that one is halfway in between down here. It doesn't actually matter too much how neat your lines are. What matters is you work out the crossing point. I can see each square is 2, so that's 25. This one, if I bring this down, try and do it slightly neater than I'm doing it. This one is going to be 34, and I can see this one down here. If I sort of have a look at this one, screen not moving, there we go. And this one down here, if I drag this down, it's 1 square away, so therefore it's going to be 42, which means I've got the numbers I need. So I know this is 25, I know this is 34, and I know this is 42. Now, box plots. A couple of things about box plots you need to be careful of. Firstly, they must not touch the bottom or the top. So I'm going to just do the 2 squares in the middle. Also note the scale. So each of these little squares is 2. So therefore 8 is going to be here. Now, I'm doing this on an iPad. In an exam, do try and be as neat as you can, because the way they mark this is they actually use an overlay and they sort of check that it looks correct the way you've done it. So try and do a better job that I'm doing of getting exactly in or between the right lines. 34 is 2 squares away. 42 is here. I remember the last one. 42 and 74 is 2 squares away. So it's over here. Then you join the whiskers, as they're called, in other words, a bit at the end, by the lines in the middle, and join the box, hence the phrase box plot, by the bit at the top. And that's it. How many marks for that? 3 marks for that. That feels about correct. So continue with the question down here. The pass mark for the test was 40. Sean said 30% of the 60 students get past the test. Okay. Now, in order to pass the test, you've got to get 40. So I need to work out how many students have got 40. Well, 40 is here, which if I go across is, I think it's here actually. Just check I've got the right line here. 40 is, it's here. It's here, which is going to be 42. Yeah, correct scale. So therefore 42 students haven't passed, have not passed, which means 18 students have passed. 18 over 60 is equal to, we'll divide by 6, is going to give me 3 over 10, which is 30%, which implies CN is correct. Excellent. That's not terrible. Okay, next one. Work out 25, you've got to be careful here. So of course this is the way the printing works at times. It doesn't mean 25.5. It's trying to badly say the square root of 25 times the third root of 8. We should know these. You should know straight away the square root of 25 is 5 and the cube root of 8 is 2 and 5 times 2 is going to be 10. It's just one of those things you just need to learn. Just do them again and again and again. You will practice them, you will get better at them. Next one, find the value of this. Now, you will hopefully remember that if we just look at the 32, well, let's do the whole thing in steps. So I can remember that's 1 to the power of 3/5 over 32 to the power of 3/5. 1 to the power of anything is 1. That means the fifth root of 32, which again you should know, and then I'm going to cube that. Well, the fifth root of 32 is 2, and 2 cubed is 8. So therefore that one is just going to be an eighth. And that's it, not too bad. Next question. Question 11. Kate was asked to factorise 5x squared. So you remember to factorise, that needs to multiply, that needs to be the plus into the a plus b. So ab is 6. Kate says the sum of a and b must be 6 and the product of a, she's back to front. Oh, explain what is wrong. Okay, so I'll answer my own question. So Kate has the calculation for a and b back to front. Excellent. Next question. Factorise fully. Now, the word fully is a little bit of a clue that it's just not going to be one thing. There's going to be a couple of things that happen here. So I can see that I can take out 2. It's going to be that. And of course the thing you're supposed to recognise is this is difference of 2 squares. So m plus 1, m minus 1. Done. Can't factorise any more than that. Next one. Factorise fully. Well, that's quite nasty. Okay, so I'm going to concentrate on this bit first. I'm going to take out an x, which is going to give me a plus b. Then I'm going to look at this here. Now, careful what I'm doing. So I'm going to take out a minus y, which leaves an a. And if I take out a minus y, that leaves a plus b. You can see I've got an a plus b here and an a plus b here. So I can take out an a plus b from both, which is going to give me a plus b, x plus y. That's a bit of a, sorry, x minus y. That's a bit of a further maths question. That's a quite difficult factorisation, but well done if you got that one. 5 marks for that question. Not terrible again. All right, I'm expecting to start to get a little bit harder from now because we're sort of more than halfway through the paper. A, B, and C are 3 solid spheres. Sphere A has a volume. I think this is going to be a simple shapes question, isn't it? So radius of sphere B, work out the ratio of the surface area of A to C. Oh, okay, that's clever. All right, so we're going to go from A to B, and then we're going to go from B to C. And then we've got length, area, and volume. Now, it tells me to get from A to B is I'm going to multiply by 125 over 64, which means the length is a cube root of that, so that's 5 over 4. Again, make sure you know your cubes. And the square of that is 25 over 16. Okay, geez, not an easy one. Then B to C, it tells you the radius of this sphere is 50%. In other words, to get from B to C, I'm going to multiply this by 1/2, which means the area is 1/4, and it means the volume is 1/8. Work out the ratio of the surface area. So I care about this line here. Now, the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to do A to B to C. If A is 1, then B is 25/16, and C is 1/4 of that, so that's going to be 25/64. So therefore the ratio of A to B to C, well, it is that there, isn't it? I can just put this like this. Now, how does it want to give your answer in the AB, where AB and integers? Okay, so let's look at A and C only. So that's 1 to 25 over 64. Multiply by 64, and that's going to give you 64 to 25. Answer done. That wasn't as bad as it looked. That felt quite horrible, but actually wasn't terrible. It's all about understanding that you need to link these two scale factors here. Excellent. Next question. I don't know how I'm doing for time, but seems to be getting on okay so far. Question 13. Here are two cuboids. Then it gives me some distances. All lengths are measured in centimetres. I'll underline that just in case that's relevant. The volume of cuboid A is 142 greater than the volume of cuboid B. Work out the value of x. Wow, okay. This feels quite difficult for a GCSE question. Let's give it a go. So the reason I'm pausing as I write down and try not to get it wrong is because I think this is going to be a cubic. And I'm wondering how you were supposed to do that. But anyway, let's just do the maths first. So x plus 3, x minus 3 times 2x. And then a is 142 greater, so I'm going to add on 142 here. All right, let's do the expanding. So that's going to multiply the outside one. So I've got x squared plus x minus 2 times 2x minus 1 is equal to the difference of two squares. X squared minus 9 plus 142. Yeah, okay. Now here, be careful here. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2x, which is going to give me 2x cubed plus 2x squared minus 4x. And multiply everything by minus 1, which is minus x squared minus x plus 2, which means the whole thing is going to be 2x cubed plus x squared minus 5x plus 2 is equal to x squared. 142 minus 9 is going to be plus 100 and not 40, 133. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect these things together. So that's going to then give me, oh, sorry, I've done this wrong, haven't I? Let me just confirm this. I told you I was going to do this live. You can see I'm making the error. I forgot the 2x. So it's going to be x squared minus 9 times 2x plus 142. I was wondering where the cubes had gone, which is how I knew I'd made an error, which equals 2x cubed minus 18x plus 142. Okay, right. So let's write this here. 2x cubed minus 18x plus 142. Right, that feels a bit better. Now, it feels better for two reasons. So this may be me as a teacher talking, maybe just a bit of experience coming through. But when I looked at the question originally, I got quite worried because I knew there'd be a cubic, and you don't learn how to solve cubics until A level. So you definitely shouldn't do it in a non-calculated GCSE maths exam. However, because I've got 2x cubed on the left and 2x cubed on the right, essentially they cancel out, which means I just have a quadratic. So if I have my x squared, if I add 18x to both sides, that gives me 13x. If I take away 142 from both sides, minus 140 equals 0. Now, what does it want me to do? It wants me to find the value of x. This is horrible, because I don't think you can factorise that, can you? 7 and 6. No, it doesn't work, does it? Unless I'm doing my maths wrong, which is possible. Tell you what I'll do. I'm just going to do the quadratic formula anyway, rather than try and be clever. I think I can factorise this, actually, now I've thought about it. But anyway, let's do the quadratic formula anyway. Let's see how I would do this. So x is equal to, it's minus 13 plus minus. How would I do this in a non-calculator? Let's try it. So I've got 13 squared, which I know is 169, minus 4 times 140 negative, which is plus, and all that's divided by 2. So let's try and pull this together. So I've got 13 squared, which is 169. 4 times 140 is 400 plus 160, which is 560. 9, 6 and 6 is 2, 5 and 6 is 6, plus 1 is 7, 2, 9. So I've got minus 13 plus minus the square root of 729 divided by 2. I'm guessing that most of you do not know your 27 times table. A fun little story. When I was in first year, or what you now call year 7, the whole form got brought back for detention. And the teacher, who was a maths teacher, wrote on the board, what did he write? He wrote on the board that 3 times 3 to the power of 3 was 27. And then we couldn't leave the room until we worked out what 27 cubed was. So I've never forgotten that 27 squared is 729. I would expect most of you not to know that. So if you didn't know that, the way of doing this is use the prime factors, break it out. I can see this number divides by 3, so I can, it's not an easy thing to do. I am quite fortunate in the sense that I know this is 27. Let's write this slightly neater, 27. And divide by 2. And so I need it to be a positive number because x is positive because it's a measurement. So therefore it's going to be the plus. So 27 minus 13 is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So my answer is 7. That felt not very nice. Compared to the last question, which wasn't great, but was doable, that one felt horrible. So well done if you got that one. I kind of feel that perhaps, I mean, factorising is a difficult thing to factorise. It does factorise, because it factorises down to 20, and you've got minus 20 and 7. Perhaps you can see that, but yeah, I that's a nasty question. And again, very lucky for me that I spotted 729, because otherwise I would have been quite stuck. Next question. ABC is a triangle, work out the length of AB. Okay, we're back to sensible questions now. This is it's a sine rule question, isn't it? So I can see, sorry, let's move this back over. I can see this is opposite this, and this is opposite this, and this is what I need. So therefore AB divided by sine of 45 is equal to 3 root 2 divided by sine of 30. Now it doesn't say how to get the answer, and say exact form or anything, so I'm presuming most of the root 2's cancel, but let's give it a go. So AB over 1 over root 2 is equal to 3 root 2 over a half. Now if you divide by half, you double it, so that's equal to 6 root 2, and then I'm going to multiply this out. So I've got AB equals 6, oh it does cancel, yeah, 6 root 2 times 1 over root 2, which equals 6, and 6 is the answer that I'm going to stick to. So I'm quite happy with that. That's not too bad, is it? That's okay. Got definitely much easier than the last question, which I'm going to look at later, because I'm sure I did that the too long way. Anyway, forget about that question. Question 15. Vectors, yay. O to y is A. Now, one of the things that I always do is I always put arrows on, because it's very easy to lose a lot of marks by getting your arrows the wrong way. I also note it's a parallelogram, which means I know that OX is equal to ZY, etc., all in going in the same direction. Read what it wants me to do before I jump in. So it says M is the point on OY, so it gives me some fractions. Work out the ratio. Okay, so I'm going to need to work out some fractions. I'm going to need to go from X to M and M to N. And then it wants me to show that that is a, well, going to be a straight line, I presume. It wants me to show the ratio between those. Okay, now the good news is there's always marks for doing something sensible. First of all, let's get these on. So O to Y is such that O to M is 1 to 3. In other words, that's a quarter, and that's 3/4. And the 1 to 2 means that's a third, and that's 2/3. And the other thing I'm going to work out is I'm going to work out Z to Y. In other words, I'm going to go this way and this way, and I know that's equal to O to X because the parallelogram, and I know that's going to be, well, it's minus A plus B, so it's no, is that right? So I'm going the wrong way. Minus B plus A, I mean about the arrows, so in other words it's going to be A minus B. Let's just work out these things and see what happens. So therefore X to N is equal to, well, I'm going to write what I'm doing. So I'm going from X to O plus O to N. X to O is the opposite of the above, so it's B minus A plus a third of B, which is, this isn't very nice, is it? Which is minus A plus 4/3 B. Okay, I'm not feeling massively confident right now. M to M. The nice thing about this is I know if I got it right, because I know it'll be a multiple of X to N. It'll be a fraction, but it'll be a multiple of it. So M to M goes the opposite way, so it's minus 1/4 A plus a third of B. Now, what do I do to this to get this? Well, it's 4 times larger, isn't it? And actually this is also 1/4 of that. So actually that's, yeah, good. Okay, good. Phew. So therefore I can see that X to N is 4 times m to n. And again, I can look at the a's and I can look at the b's, and I can confirm they're both 4 times larger. So what does it want me to do? It wants me to do x to n, m to n is going to be 4 to 1. Huh, that felt not very nice when I was doing it, but actually fell out okay. Kind of came together in the end, didn't it? All right, question 16. I should have looked how many questions there are. I've got no idea. It was about 18 questions normally. So rationalise the denominator of this. Rationalise means multiply top and bottom by root 5, which is going to give me 15 root 5 over 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3, which is going to be 3 root 5. I felt a bit easier after the last one. So that was only 2 marks. Okay. Right, next one. Right, root 75 minus 2, 1 plus 2 root 3. Okay. I think I know where this is going before doing the question. There's a clue there. And that, let me zoom out. That is not in terms of root 3. But I know that is 25 times 3. And the square root of 25 is 5. So I know this is 5 root 3. Again, I'm using the answer to help me know what to do here, and that's going to help me. Otherwise, I'm going to get lost in root 75s and root 150s and be complicated. So make it easier by simplifying at the start. Now, I think this math's going to be quite tricky, so I'm going to write it all out. So I've got 5 root 3 minus 2 divided by 1 plus 2 root 3. I'm going to multiply that by 1, the negative, so 1 minus 2 root 3. And 1 minus 2 root 3. Right, okay, I think it's going to be a little bit messy. 5 root 3 times 5 root 3 is 5 root 3. 5 root 3 times minus 2 is minus 10. Root 3 times root 3 is 3. Minus 2 times 1 is minus 2 for you. And minus 2 times minus 2 is plus 4 root 3. Now, I know this is the difference of 2 squares, so I'm just going to do the 1 times 1 is 1. And 2 root 3 times minus 2 root 3 is minus 4 times 3, which is 12. It's going to give me a minus 11 on the bottom. Okay, let's carry on anyway. So 5 root 3 plus 4 root 3 is 9 root 3. Where's my pen not working again? There we go, 9 root 3. And minus 30 minus 2 is minus 32. This is horrible. Divided by minus 11. That'll be okay, but to me it looks messy, so I'm going to switch it around. So 9 root 3 divided by 11. I mean, it's in the right form, so it does say a minus b root 3 over c, and I've written it in that form. A is 32, etc. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, good, fine. Let's go with that. Next one, circle theorems. Please don't make me write them out. And write down any circle theorems you don't misuse. Oh, I hate these questions. Okay, my tip is work out what to do first and then write them down. Otherwise you just end up with a whole load of stuff that you don't need. So what do I need to do? So it tells me that CD is a tangent. So this is an alternate segment theorem question, isn't it? So CD is a tangent, and it tells me that BCD is 40, BCDs. So that's 40. Which means that alternate segment theorem means that that's 40. OAB is 3 times, what? OAB, okay. So that's 3 times OAC, okay, I know what it's doing. OAC, which is this. And work out the size, work out the size of ACD. So it wants ACD, so it wants this one here, and that's what it wants. Okay, right. And then it says, write down any circle theorems you use. So it just wants a circle theorem. So let's now write out what we've just done slightly neater. I apologise now. There's going to be a bit of jumping up and down so you can read my writing. So CAB, so the angle at A, so CAB is equal to 40 degrees by the alternate segment theorem. Let's write the word out properly. Theorem. Okay, good. And then it wants you, what am I doing then? And then I know, okay, right, so I know that these is an isosceles triangle, which means that this is 3x. But it doesn't care about that because it just wants circle theorems. That's what the question tells me. Which means that angle AOB equals 180. Have we done this right? 180 minus 6x. Oh, sorry, I just realised what I'm doing. Yeah, 180 minus 6x. However, 4x is equal to 40. In other words, this is 4x here, which is 3x plus x. So 4x equal, which means that x is equal to 10, which means that this is 180 minus 60, which is 120 degrees. Okay, good. Don't like this question. ACB, so therefore ACB is equal to 60 degrees because angles at center equals 2 times angles at circumference. I apologise, my writing gets messier as I go through the exam. What does it want? So it wants the whole angle. Oh, it wants ACD. It wants the whole angle here, doesn't it? So therefore ACD is equal to 60 plus 40, which is equal to 100 degrees. 4 marks. So I think there's 1 mark for alternate segment theorem, 1 mark for the other reason, 1 mark for getting 10 probably, and 1 mark for the final answer. That feels like 4 marks of work, so I'm happy with that. Okay, good. Next question. Fx equals this, right? 2 ways of doing this. So what do I do to my x? So the first thing I do is multiply by 5, then I take away 3, and then I divide by 4. This only works if there's only one x in the thing, which there is, so that's okay. So therefore my f minus 1 of x is equal to x. The opposite of dividing by 4 is to multiply by 4. The opposite of taking away 3 is to add 3. And the opposite of multiplying by 5 is to divide by 5. So that's my inverse of f of x. That's okay. For all values of x, g of x equals this and h of x equals that. Work out the value of g of h of 5. Well, that's going to be g of h with a 5 in it, so 2 times 5, which is g of 1 minus 10 is minus 9. And then that's going to be minus 9 minus 1 squared, which is minus 10 squared, which is 100. That was 100 again. That was the answer to the last question. Okay, excellent. That's okay. Obviously, you've got to know your functions, but that's not terrible. Okay question. That question earlier was horrible, the one with the cuboid. Easily the hardest question so far. Question 19. What have we got? So semi-finals, A plays B, C plays D. 2 winners will then play each other for the final. A win. Okay, all right. What does this want? So it's one probably. Okay. So in order for A to win, then A has to beat B. So that's my notation, doesn't mean anything. So A's got to beat B, and C's got to beat D, and then A's got to beat C. Or A beats B, D beats C, and then A beats D. That's right? So A can only play C or D. C or D can win. Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Oh, and then it gives me the probability. So the probability that player A will win against B is 0.6. So these are both 0.6. The probability that A will win against C is 0.5. So A beats C is 0.5. The probability that A wins against D is 0.3. And the probability that C wins against D is 0.2. Multiply these together, which means the probability that D beats C is 0.8. Okay. Right, so let's work this out. So 6 times 2 is 12, times 5 is 60, but then there's 3 decimal places, so it's 0.6. 6 times 8 is 48, times 3 is 144. Yeah, 144. And so add these together and you get 0.204. Okay. So I'm pausing because I'm not 100% confident in that, but yeah, that feels right. I think I've done the right thing. I've used all of these, so that feels good. A has to beat B. How many marks is there for this? 4 marks. Okay, I've done 4 marks of working. That feels right. Okay, I'm going to go with that. How many questions are there? That's it, last question. Right, C with equation, x plus y squared is 4. So I know that that's a circle, radius 2 that goes through here. Find an equation of tangent to C at the point P1. P1, so 1 is here or here. Where P is greater than 0, so it's not that one, it's this one here. Give your answer in the form of expression. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we'll go what P is. So P squared plus 1 squared equals 4, which means that P equals 4 minus 1 is 3. Square root of that is a square root of 3. Okay, this makes sense. This is what I've got a square root of my answer. Right, so therefore I know that this point here, C, is equal to, I'm making a bit of a mess of this, let's write it out. So C is equal to the point 3 root 1. So that means the gradient of the radius is the rise over the run. And that means the gradient of the tangent is minus that, which is minus root 3. Okay, and so therefore the equation, the line through point C is going to be y equals mx plus c. So therefore 1 equals m, which is minus root 3x. Sorry, I'm using x, aren't I? It's minus root 3 times root 3. Okay. Root 3 plus c. So I cough. I will edit the coughs out if I can. Actually, I can't, can I? Because you lose my time then. So therefore 1 equals minus root 3 times root 3 is minus 3 plus c. Get there eventually, which means that c equals 4, and so therefore y equals minus root 3x plus 4. What does the question want? Give your answer in the form y. Oh, okay, that's clever. All right, so therefore y plus, I don't know why the pen's doing that. Let's start again. So y plus root 3x equals 4. Is it in the right format? Yes, it is. And therefore that's my final answer. Whew. Paper done. I will mark it. I'll mark it. I'll record myself marking it. Not going to touch it. Not going to change it. I've locked myself in. I don't know how this is going to go. There's one question I'm not comfortable about. I'm going to show you now. I'm kind of. I think that's okay. I'm kind of happy with these. I think I might have dropped a mark here. I'm not sure I've shown all the reasons. That probably is fine. Might have done a silly error somewhere. Yeah, I think probably most of it's okay. Just a bit worried about dropping some silly errors here and there. It's really important, even if you've watched this far. Well, first of all, thank you for watching this far if you have. It's really important you watch me go through the mark scheme. I can tell you now, as a teacher, if I mark an exam, I will give you anywhere between 5 and 10 marks less than you'll give it if you mark it yourself, because you are too generous when you mark. So watch me mark my own work. I'll be very clear about where the marks are. I'm going to put the paper at the bottom. I'll put this in the description as well. So the link to the paper will be at the bottom. Do it yourself as well. Let's see how it goes. As ever, like, subscribe, leave a comment below. If you think there's a blatant error, feel free to note it, and I'll get it when I do the marks as well. And I'll see you on the next video. Thanks all.